Welcome, everybody, to our first TimeWaver Talks with Andrea. Seems a bit weird in the title. Maybe I'll come up with something catchier, but I'm super excited that you're here. I'm really grateful that you're here. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I'm excited to share with you guys. So let's dive in. If you have any questions, please just raise your hand or drop it in the chat or ask the question. This is meant to be interactive and engaging for you. Hopefully you learned some new things. Maybe you didn't already know. So just a bit of background of who am I and why I'm qualified to talk about this. So I have a bachelor's of science in neuroscience. That was kind of my first passion in my life. I didn't learn anything about the mind or consciousness in that program, although I had hoped to, but it was not that way. I've since done a ton of research and just reading and learning and unlearning and then more learning about the mind and the consciousness. And I think we have so much more understanding now, and we're just really at the tip of the iceberg in terms of that. But what I love about using this technology that we're going to talk about today is just really the way that we can kind of use it all together. So after I did my neuroscience degree, I went on to study radiation oncology, just basically medical physics. And I worked in that field. I worked in oncology for almost a decade. And this is me in my 20s, a rare snapshot of me almost 20 years ago. I worked in treatment preparation for many years. So this is like people that were diagnosed with cancer. And so we would do CT scans. I would inject them through radioactive dye. We would determine where the cancer was in their body. So that was helped for treatment planning. I also have here in the next photo, this is a linear accelerator. I also operated this. It's very fancy technology, millions of dollars. And linear accelerator essentially is a massive frequency device. It delivers ionizing radiation to a particular part of a body that we want to treat, and basically it disrupts and damages cancer cells. So just coming back, about 9 years ago, last month, I threw in the towel. I was like, this is not in alignment with what I want to be doing. This is not in alignment with how I came to understand how we look at and manage illness in the body, right? This is in conventional medicine, there's a very standard approach they give to everybody based on their diagnosis. It does not look at human beings as holistic and really understanding all of the elements that go into, a person in their life and why they have this illness in their life. So 9 years ago, I resigned. I sold everything I owned in Canada and I moved to Costa Rica. And I've switched my shingle over to holistic oncology. I started a business called Cancer Alchemy, and it was really focused on filling in the gaps that I had come to understand that existed in conventional medicine. So this is supporting a person nutritionally, detoxifying their body, really looking at the root causes, which they don't really do in conventional medicine. So we started to identify, and now that I've been in this field for almost 20 years, and especially diving in deeper into the quantum physics, I have come to understand that a lot of this is emotional and energetic blockages in the body. And we have this really amazing device that can shift that for us, right? Help us dive deeper to understand and peel back the layers and really give us a full understanding of what's happening in our body, in our mind, in our emotions, and in our bioenergetic field. So I am also undertaking my PhD in integrative medicine because I don't already have enough to do, but it's amazing and I'm a lifelong learner. And it just helps me be of service and keeps me engaged. And now I can add to my titles the TimeWaver frequency practitioner. So I have acquired a frequency device called the TimeWaver, which is basically the original parent company of Healy. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So that's me. I don't generally like talking about myself, but I felt like it was relevant. So let's go way back to electromedicine, because this is really where it began. In fact, when I was prepping for this, I learned that electromedicine, actually, the earliest reference is in 46 AD. And what they did was they put electric eels in baths and then they treated people. And they found that it was really effective for treating pain and circulatory conditions, which makes sense because our circulatory system has an electric component to it. And basically it would, jolt the batteries in somebody's body. thankfully we don't do this any longer, or maybe some people still do this, but we used electromedicine a lot in the late 1800s. There's a lot of references in medical texts to using electromedicine. And it was very popular from the late 1800s until early 1930s. And I don't want to get into too much of the political side, but in and around that time, they introduced something called the Flexner Report, which really standardized medical education in the States. And it basically wiped out anything that was alternative. So at the time in the States, there were thousands of homeopathic practitioners, alternative, what we'll say is complementary or alternative medicines. All of those got wiped out, or most of them, we'll say most of them. And they really standardized medication, and they moved more towards pharmaceuticals. And so there were pioneers at this time that were doing really amazing work with electromedicine. And unfortunately, their work was destroyed, they were discredited, and really electromedicine kind of fell to the wayside. But Tesla in the 1800s and 1900s, he understood that electromedicine, the power that it had, that everything in the universe is connected. There's this famous quote that we see a lot in the Healy world. It's called the Flexner Report. I think maybe it's spelled that way. So Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, which is really the fundamental talk of today. This is what we're all engaged in. If you have a Healy, or you're interested in frequency therapy, or using frequencies to rebalance your body and your bioenergetic field, he understood this long before anybody else did. There's another famous guy called Raymond Rife. If you haven't heard about him, you should check him out. He was doing amazing work in the early 1900s. He actually created the electron microscope. That's kind of like his fame to claim. But he went on to really understand that you could use different frequencies to, we'll say, cure illnesses, right? He was having a lot of success. He had a very large database of which frequencies were able to eradicate certain pathogens in the body. He would treat people and they wouldn't have cancer anymore. And so he had a very large database. It was all just trial and error. And he had a lot of success, which mainstream medicine did not like. So a lot of his research was destroyed, and he was discredited, as I mentioned earlier. He really liked Tesla. Tesla went on to have a very sad sort of second half of his life, and nobody really understood them. These guys were way ahead of their time in terms of understanding how we could use this and use it to help our bodies. Hulda Clark is my legend. I did a lot of training with her for detoxification and really understanding. She was a naturopath from Germany, 50 years of experience of using herbs and frequencies. So she believed fundamentally that most diseases in the body had a pathogenic component to it. So she treated parasites, fungi, bacteria. She treated a lot, and she used the frequencies to clear that from the body, along with the herbs. So I love this is a lot of how the way that I practice with my clients is like using the food and the nutrition and the naturopathic principles, and then combining it with the frequencies as well, right? And so it's really treating the body, but then we're also treating the bioenergetic field, which, as we're going to learn, are so interchangeable. Then there's Dr. Abrams. He also created a really massive database. This was largely, so maybe you've heard of Carolyn McMakin, who does the frequency-specific microcurrent. This is her list of frequencies that when she first started practicing in the 80s, the list was originally from Abrams. They have no idea how he figured out all of the frequencies that work for all the different conditions, but he had a very long list of things that she then took and ran with, and she's also a legend in her own right in terms of really moving forward with frequency and vibrational medicine. So Einstein, there's also this famous quote where he says, the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. And I say this a lot, is basically the future has arrived. We are here. We have this amazing technology. We are in a time where, medical empowerment is extremely important. We need to take autonomy over our body and how we keep ourselves well and healthy. And this is something that can really support us with this process. So there was a resurgence of electromedicine in the 80s and 90s in the forms of TENS devices. If you've ever heard of those, they're just specific frequencies, and they kind of like electrical acupuncture in a way. So it stimulates different muscles, stimulates different acupuncture points, pressure points, and is very effective for reducing pain and used quite a bit in physiotherapy, osteopathy, chiropractic. So that's where Dr. McMakin, she really has pioneered the frequency-specific microcurrent. That is she came up with that term. She's been doing this work for 30 plus years. And I'm actually doing her training right now. I have that capacity with my TimeWaver device. I've been using it. It's amazing, such fantastic results. And it's interesting because this works differently than the Healy and the kind of the information field. This is really localized. It's like very specific frequencies for particular conditions. So, and you feel it in your body when you hit the right frequencies. So that's been pretty cool to experience. Nina, which we all know is he created the gold cycle frequencies, also a legend, has been doing this for decades. And then Marcus Schmieke, which is the creator of TimeWaver and Healy. And so they had a relationship for many, many years where Nuno had figured out a lot of the frequencies. He had hundreds of thousands of frequencies that he had determined worked for different conditions. But everything was trial and error. I learned this through a talk that I was listening to with Marcus the other day. And Marcus was saying, he understood the information field and how to determine which frequencies people needed, but didn't necessarily have all the frequencies. And so they actually created a really beautiful partnership together where they kind of had a meeting of the minds and they shared their research and their information together. And then they created TimeWaver, they created Healy. And so we have this really revolutionary technology at this moment in our lives. Any questions so far? Okay, now we're going to dive deep into quantum physics. Just bear with me for a few minutes because we're going to go into the science. This is my favorite stuff. But basically, all of this technology is based on quantum physics, right? Which is the study of matter and energy at the most fundamental level. So this is working. So we have cells, and within our cells, we have atoms. And then if you go smaller, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so fundamentally, quantum physics underlies how atoms work. Now, I don't think we fully understand what this is, but conceptually, we have some understanding. We can't always explain how it works because it's different than other parts of physics, like mechanical physics, and or quantum mechanics, where there is a cause and then there's an effect. And so with quantum physics, there is a cause and effect, but we don't always see it. We don't even necessarily feel it, right? What we can sense within our bodies, within our energy field, that something has shifted. And that is really quantum physics. So everything is originally information. Everything that is contained in the universe, in the atoms, in our cells, everything contains information. And how that information, the sort of quality and quantity of that information comes through in a vibration, which is basically a frequency. Does that make sense? Okay. And so then we break it down into quantum biology. So our human body is basically a quantum biological system. We are made up of molecules and atoms, and we have subatomic particles, and we have cells, and we have organs and tissues, and we have a brain, and all of these have a resonant frequency to them. All of our organ systems have a particular vibration. Actually, most organ systems have hundreds of different frequencies to them, depending on what you're reading. And so fundamentally, we are an electromagnetic system. I think I talk about this. And we actually have the same frequencies as the Earth's magnetic field as well. The Earth is electromagnetic, and we share a lot of similarities between that. Basically, we have this biologic resonance. And so the frequencies act like a key fob. So they send a signal. If you ever pressed your key to unlock the door, that's kind of how frequencies work in the body, right? And so, but they do this via electromagnetic signal. And what happens is that the frequencies appear to change the cell function, change the cell membrane potential, and even can change membrane protein configuration. Kind of all of our cells are lined with fat and proteins, and they all have these receptors, and this is how cell communication works. And so we have, within the body, we have electrical communication with like our nervous system or neurotransmitters. It's like a locking key. When you take a pharmaceutical, I think I talk about this actually in the next slide. Let me just go to the next one. So every living tissue has these locks and keys. And so food, nutrients, pharmaceuticals, they act like a lock and key, but they work on like a chemical level or an electrical level. So depending on what they are. And basically what it does is it changes the cell membrane receptors and it alters our functions within our body. The beautiful thing about frequencies is that they're non-invasive, but they're extremely effective. So they work like the key fob, where they're not actually going in and changing anything on a like this kind of level, but they still work, right? And so that's really the beautiful thing about using frequencies, is it's, you know, it doesn't generally come with the same kind of effects that, or side effects that if you're taking like a pharmaceutical. Not saying that you should not take your pharmaceuticals, that's not what I'm saying here, but just it works differently, I guess is the point. Dixie, you have a question?
Yes. So the frequencies, because they don't hurt anything, it's because they only affect what they're supposed to affect. Is that correct?
Yes, and we'll get into that, because if like if we have in our body where there's a frequency that's out of alignment, it will only work on that to bring that back into alignment. It's not going to affect things that are not out of, that are within alignment, that are at their resonant frequency. So yeah, great question. So we hear this word a lot, resonance. Our device is called resonance. We have this word resonance that we hear a lot in Healy. And so what is that? Resonance is the tendency of a system or bond to oscillate at large amplitudes in response to some other frequencies, but not others. That's what you're saying, Dixie, right? With the question about what affects what. So if you think you have two tuning forks, if you hit one tuning fork and the other one is not going, it will start to vibrate, and they'll start to vibrate at the same thing. So they start to become resonant together, or they're vibrating together in resonance. And that is what happens when we apply the frequencies too. It's like we apply this frequency, we know it's going to bring something, maybe something that's out of balance, and it brings it back, and then they're oscillating at the same frequency. They're vibrating at the same frequency, which is resonance. This is a harmony in our body, right? And in our bioenergetic field. And all objects on Earth, everything living, non-living, everything has a resonant frequency. They all have some of their home frequency of what they vibrate at. And we'll discuss after what happens when it's sort of that resonance gets lost. So fundamentally, our body is one giant electromagnetic system, right? Our heart has a massive field around it. Our brain has a massive field around it. We are connected to the earth. We have this toric field. There's all this energy that's flowing through our body, around our body. It's the energy, is the information is being transmitted with other people, with other beings, with the universe, with the earth frequencies. So we are just one giant electromagnetic system, right? We might look solid, but actually we are a lot of space. Bruce Lipton talks about this. I think Joe Dispenza talks about this. Like 99% of the earth is actually space, right? And so, but we perceive ourselves as being solid matter. And because we are these electromagnetic systems, we are just like giant, massive semiconductors. And we, through that network, we are conveying information, we're sending current, we're sending charge. And this is why the frequencies work so well, because we are arranged this way. And as I said, in nature, everything has frequencies, but it's not that one thing has one frequency. It's actually a spectrum of frequencies. And this is why Healy has 10 million different frequencies in the device, right? That we can, and we're always like, it's always like assessing our energetic field and determining which frequencies we need and then delivering those ones. And so we want to think about this in terms of like, rather than one specific frequency, it's a spectrum of frequencies or multiple frequencies that can, you know, help harmonize and optimize our energy fields. Now, each organ system in the body also has a spectrum of frequencies, right? In the gold frequencies alone, they've determined that the liver has like 900 different frequencies that it resonates with, right? The kidney has 1,000. Now, it's not to say that you could apply just one of those thousands and it's going to rebalance your liver. Most of the time, it's going to need multiple ones, but I don't want to get too deep into that today. Just wanted you to kind of have this understanding of, this is why we have so many programs to choose from. This is why there are so many frequencies within each program, because they're of this spectrum of frequencies. At a cellular level, our cells also are semiconductors, right? And within each cell, there is a gel lattice that fills the cells, full of connective tissue and intracellular fluid, and there's all sorts of things in here. But this is basically a giant matrix. of things that act like semiconductors. Now, in between all of this space, we have water. It's not water in the sense of the water that we drink. It's kind of more of like, I guess like a gel. And Dr. Pollack, I think, is the author of this book here, This Fourth Phase of Water. And this is why we're hearing a lot about hydrogen water right now, because in this cell matrix, it's not H2O, it's actually H3O. So it has one extra hydrogen. And that allows the conductance to happen with even greater efficiency. So basically, the water molecules are really important for the conductance of messages, molecules, chemicals, and frequencies. The water is a super, super important part of that semiconductance. And because the cells are structured this way, it just allows for easy flow of information and current through the body. This is why anybody that knows me has followed any of my programs or any of my talks, I'm always talking about hydration, right? Hydration, and they say that, when you're working with frequencies, it's really important to be hydrated in the body because of this semiconductance. So I just wanted to, I can't do a talk and not talk about hydration. This is why it's so important, especially if you're running frequencies. You want to make sure that you're hydrated. If you're not, they just won't work as well. And I'm learning that this is really important with the frequency-specific microcurrents, that that the hydration is extremely important for it working even better. So let's move on to more applications. So this is more relevant to what you guys are doing. And if you're working with frequencies, we're going to talk about this. So we have the Healy on the left here, and this is this beautiful TimeWaver device. It's really amazing things. So within both, actually, they have the capacity to deliver microcurrents, and then they have the capacity to work in the information field. So this is more, microcurrents is really working more at the cellular level, affecting our physical body, although it also affects our mental and emotional bodies as well. But just for ease here, sort of working at the physical level, and then also in the information and the vibration. So it's working in our sort of auric field or our bioenergetic field, what Marcus calls our information field. And so the technologies are different in each of the devices to work in those capacities, and also the kind of the theory is different as well. So microcurrents, basically micro means a millionth of an ampere. This is what we're working in the range. Basically unlimited. So that's the difference between the Healy. Just because the Healy is so small, you can't put all that technology into that tiny device to allow for the capacity to deliver those frequencies in that range. But basically, the microcurrents that are in our devices are the same current as the body produces on its own, right? So again, we're just trying to find that resonance between the frequencies that we have at our disposal and the frequencies that are in our body that might be out of alignment or could use support. And so we're using specific frequencies to harmonize and optimize energy in the body. And if you've listened to any of the talks about microcurrents as well, it's sort of like, how I see it is when you apply your frequencies, it's kind of charging the batteries, right? Every cell in our body is like a little mini battery. And when we are applying the frequencies, it's increasing this sort of energy production at the cellular level. I think maybe you guys have heard, but they've done some studies with Healy and TimeWaver, and they determined that using the gold cycle energy actually increases ATP production by 500%. So it's basically like recharging your batteries in your body. That's why a lot of people that work with the frequencies in a consistent way start to feel more energetic, right? We start to feel like that vitality is returning within our being. And that's where we get into working with the frequencies in a consistent way. That's really important for getting those kinds of results. So our entire biological system, the brain and the earth itself, works on the same frequencies. Just wanted to share that. So in terms of cell voltage, this is also something that's come from Healy. Basically, the Healy functional principle is based on a theory that was created by Becker and Nordenstrom. And what they had determined was that any imbalances in the body is caused by a reduced cell membrane voltage. So all of our cells have an electrical potential around them. Every single cell in your body has it. And a healthy, normal range is is somewhere around minus 70 millivolts. They can measure it. That's standard. That's a nice healthy cell. Now, when you start to have more inflammation in your body, you have pain, maybe you have swelling, and you work more towards illness, maybe they're an autoimmune disease, then that cell voltage starts to change. And it actually moves closer to zero. So something like closer, like moving to zero is basically cell death. So anything kind of around minus 30 is considered illness. Actually, I would say it's before that, minus 40 probably. But that's where we want to start to use the frequencies to kind of restore that, right? The point of gold cycle frequencies and using microcurrents in general is to move the cells back to that healthy range of minus 70. And so we have suitable frequencies that can help with harmonizing that. Now, we're not treating anything. We're not diagnosing anything. This is not, we're not saying that we're curing anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just that this is the theory behind it and how we work with the frequencies and how it helps to restore that in the body. So electrical frequencies are really the language of cell communication. Because we are these electrical beings, we can use these frequencies to help open more connections and really support the functions within the body. So now let's move into the fun stuff, because this is the information field. So the microcurrents, that's the pink dot app in the Healy. And in the TimeWaver, we don't have the pink or the blue, but we have a whole spectrum of frequencies to choose from. And then we have the information field, which is like the blue dot app, right? This is reading into somebody's bioenergetic field, analyzing and detecting maybe where there are some imbalances, which frequencies the body could use and use support with. So this is really, we're starting to move more into this field of quantum physics that we don't truly understand. But if you've used frequencies and you've had massive results, then you know that this stuff is real, right? You know that is happening somewhere, even though we can't tangibly see it. This is the information field. Those frequencies are the language of our bodies, and this is of our cells, and this is how it understands. Frequencies is really the language of energy. This is what it's speaking. That's the language it's speaking. So frequencies are understood by something close to our psyche and consciousness. So if you use the Blue Dot app and you are using any of the Bach flower or the creative homeopathy or the Schussler salts or any of those are diving deeper into beyond the physical, right? It's moving more into the information field. It's more of, analyzing maybe what's happening for you at an emotional level, at a mental level, in the non-physical. And so this is the information that is being captured from your information field and delivered to you in this beautiful analyses. So the body is connected through the information field, right? And this constantly communicating and interacting with one another. Our body is always interacting with our information field. We're sensing things around us all the time, even though our brain isn't necessarily consciously picking up on it, right? Our heart actually, they've determined now our heart actually, the electrical change can happen in your heart before you've even thought about something. So you're actually feeling it at the heart level before you're even feeling it or sensing it at the mind level. And the information field is even beyond that, right? It's sensing everything before we've even cognitively processed all of that. So these frequencies are really the translator between our bodies, between matter and the information field that's around us. So, I said this, the language of energy is really frequencies, right? And so this is where we start to bring in these more esoteric concepts of like, how is our body and our soul communicating, right? How is matter and spirit interacting with one another? And they do communicate with each other, and really it's happening through frequency. So I just want to share this quote. This is really relevant to sort of like, this is kind of my path in my life, having shared the beginning of that, where I used to work in oncology. So in conventional medicine, we diagnose and we treat illness. But in energy medicine, we assess where the energy systems need attention and we correct the energy disturbances. And this is fundamentally what TimeWaver and what Healy is doing, right? It's identifying that we're not treating anything. We're not trying to attack anything or kill anything. We're just really trying to bring our body and our bioenergetic field back into balance. Right? And this is where we have these beautiful devices that can help support us. They empower us to be able to have this capacity within our daily lives, essentially, which is super exciting. Guys, it's amazing. So in terms of analyzing and harmonizing, Healy and the TimeWaver has a quantum sensor in it. And basically what's happening is the information field is analyzing any of these energetic disturbances. We'll call them, imbalances. It's on a physical level, it's on a mental level, emotional, energetic. And what it does is it reads into that, and then it compares it to the Healy database or the TimeWaver database. The Healy has 10 million frequencies. The TimeWaver has more than that. So it's basically comparing it to those. They know what, say, a standard is, and then they're seeing what's happening, and then they overlap those and determine which frequencies would be most supportive for you in this moment. So always just really a snapshot. And then once we know that, we can deliver the vibrations and we can harmonize and optimize our bioenergetic field. So once the frequencies in the programs have been selected via the resonance, via that quantum sensor, then it can deliver the frequencies, whether that's by microcurrent or the vibration or scalar wave, the Mike Healy, and they deliver it into your field to kind of bring that back. Bringing your cells, bringing your tissue, bringing your information field back into resonance. Now the microcurrent is highly effective because it charges the cell. That's what we were talking about before. It's bringing that cell voltage back into its normal, healthy, optimal range. And also as we do that, this is why I talk about the gold cycle frequencies so much, because those are really, like, they called it gold cycle because Marcus says it's like gold. It is those are the standard frequencies that really help restore the body and the bioenergetic field, right? And as we work with the gold frequencies, hopefully you guys are using that on a weekly basis. It also, not only does it restore it, but then it just allows our body and our bioenergetic field to be able to receive and accept even more frequencies, right? So it just allows you to kind of go even deeper with the sort of arrangement of different frequencies that you have to choose from. So basically it helps reestablish a healthy connection between our cells, our tissues, our organ systems, our information fields, our mental and emotional bodies. We are a being with many different levels and layers. And so it's kind of working to harmonize and optimize all of that. So just briefly in terms of TimeWaver, because I have to just share, I'm having so much fun and I'm learning so much. And so the TimeWaver is like Healy, but like 100-fold. So it just allows you to dive even deeper in terms of what you can do with it. And so just as a background, Marcus named it TimeWaver because he was sitting by the ocean or the sea, and he saw the waves moving, and he started thinking about this in esoteric things, and he was talking about time. And this is like mind-blowing, but he's like, this is work that he had learned from somebody else that was very prominent quantum physicist, and basically talk about taking the 3 dimensions. So we live in a 3-dimensional world. Time would be the 4th dimension, and then the 5th and 6th dimension is really the information field. This is our auric field that we don't necessarily have a full understanding of yet, but time allows those dimensions. It's sort of like intermingling the dimensions so that they can interact and information can be received between both of them or transferred between both of them. So the TimeWaver reads through the information frequencies to really determine which frequencies. And so when you do an analysis, it'll tell you which frequencies. So the Healy just senses it and then delivers them. You don't know which ones are, but the TimeWaver will tell you which particular hertz, which frequency. And it'll tell you at that frequency what that's associated with, which part of the body, or even in the 5th and 6th dimension. So it tells you all of that. Which is pretty mind-blowing, you guys. It's mind-blowing. So the information analysis that you can do, so as I said, it has the capacity to do the microcurrents, the vibrations, with the analysis that you can get to, the level of detail is pretty impeccable. And so the TimeWaver lets you analyze and harmonize deeper interrelationships and really kind of getting to the background or the root causes. And it really allows you to work at a deeper sort of spiritual karmic level. And it kind of blends it all together, right? And so we have matter. So I love this. So it assesses at the consciousness level. This is the 0. It assesses at the karmic level, the mental level, the emotional level, the energetic level. And then here we have our physical body. It's basically the material. It's all the way to the bottom, right? And so we think about this in terms of a top-down approach. Our physical manifestation is actually before all this other information has already impacted your physical body. So we're actually going like right to the source when you are doing this kind of analysis. And it's amazing what it brings up. I've had so many incredible sessions this week. Amy had one last weekend and it was amazing. And I had one with a friend the other day, and the first line of hers that came up, it talked about her creative energy or something. And she had literally written that morning prior to our session or anything. She's a writer, so she journals every morning. And she had written like, I am a creative being in this world. And when we did this analysis, the first line of her thing, it was like word for word, the exact thing that she had written down. So it was like, I don't even know how that happens, but you know, we're beyond coincidences here. So we understand that, of course it came up, right? And we just say that and understand that. So these are kind of the levels that you can do in the information field. And it just really allows somebody to dive deeper, to really give them a better understanding of themselves, right? And have more sort of intention and reverence to their own well-being. So in terms of the quantum experience, as I said, TimeWaver goes far beyond Healy. Now, Healy is an amazing tool in its own right. So I don't want to take away from that. It's phenomenal technology as well. I'm just having fun playing with the TimeWaver, so I wanted to share that. So it allows you to go and do in-depth analysis, specific frequencies to you, the actual what the hertz is, and be able to do analysis in real time. There's a massive database of frequencies and protocols and programs to choose from. And of course, there's the ability to create customized frequencies and programs. Chad, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have to go. I have a client coming in soon, but just want to talk about my experience with you.
Please.
So remember you did that scan for me and it popped up relationships and siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were on the call, while you vibrated down in my field, my brother texted me and I haven't talked to him over a year. We are meeting up next week.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And he texted me at the exact same time after you vibed that into my field. You can't make that shit up. And I knew as soon as like that happened, like there was closure happening. That karmic closure was happening between, you know, the disconnect between my brother and I, and how do we harmonize it? So we're going to meet on Monday, and my brother's like, well, I'm still going to drink a beer while I talk to you. And I was like, well, that's fine. Like you do, I don't want to change you, but I don't want you to change me either, right? So we're coming to this understanding that he is him, I am me, but we can still have a relationship. And so that I get emotional because this is big for me, like families, you know, so like, this is so big. So just that one session, like completely changed the relationship I have with my brother. Like that's a big fucking deal. Sorry, I'm swearing. That's all passionate I am. And then I was like, then I was vibing that custom frequency into my field, and I was laying out in the grass, and I felt like I was this connection with God. And I was like, it was just so beautiful. And I haven't experienced something like that in a while because I give so much of myself away, right? And you took the time to really work with what my body was asking for. And holy shit balls. I mean, it has been a transformation and it's only been a week. So I've been running that frequency every day on me. So it is quite literally life-changing. The fact that my brother texted me right after you vibed that into my field. And I think I showed you the text. I was like, look, this just happened right now. So we're going to meet next Tuesday. He's going to be drinking his beer and I'll be wearing my protection over me, but it doesn't matter. And part of it is I want him to be him and I want me to be me. And I want to feel that familiar bond that I miss, and we're going to get it back. Yeah.
And just not to overshare about your analysis, but a lot of like family stuff had come up and that karmic ancestral things. And Chad had shared with me that he hadn't talked to his brother for a year. And so I was like, well, maybe it's time to reach out. And then your brother reached out.
He texted me like literally a minute after you vibed that into my field. And now we're going to meet on, next Tuesday, Tuesday during the day. And we're just going to like hang out. And I'm going to, all I said to him was, I want to know about your life. I want to know what's going on. He's like, well, I know what's going on in your life too. So it's a beginning process, I think, to a whole new level of healing.
Amazing.
I know. Oh, so good. Anyway, I got to go. My client is here.
Thanks for sharing.
Yep, bye.
That was totally unprompted. I didn't ask him to do that. I'm also going to ask Amy, do you mind if I put you on the spot and share just even your experience from last Wednesday to this Wednesday? Okay. It's okay if you don't want to also. I can share for you.
You can share for me.
Okay. So Amy has recently come back to school after not being a student for many, many years. And last week she had gone to school and had a challenging day to focus and concentrate. She came home really low energy. She had a headache and she just was feeling like completely depleted. So that was last Wednesday. And then we did a TimeWaver session on Saturday. Lots of karmic stuff came up for you too. Lots of ancestral clearing, lots of like emotional stuff came up that we vibed for a while, and then created a custom program to support her with that process, as well as creating custom programs to help her with focus and concentration, which is what she wanted.
I have ADHD. I have severe ADHD. So sitting at a desk with the fluorescent lights, having information thrown at me, I leave and I'm completely depleted. Just to add to that, like I don't function like everybody else does.
So then Wednesday, 2 days ago, I'm out for a walk and I get this voice message from Amy and she is like beaming. Like I've known Amy for 11 plus years and she is like so high energy. She's like, I just got home from school and I had an amazing day and I don't have a headache and my energy is amazing. And she's like, I was able to focus and concentrate at school and just be really present. And now I'm going to take my son to swimming and then I'm going to make dinner and then I'm going to study. And she was like, and I was like, I'm like jumping up and down in the street because it was just night and day from last week to this week. And so she's been running that program. And so, that was just incredible. And you're like, is this even possible? Is that possible after one time? But, you know, I think we don't always have to understand it, right? But the fact that so much, because that session was really intense in terms of what came up for you, right? And we were able to vibe it and just move that out of your field. And really, you guys, like this, the TimeWaver, even the Healy, like it just allows us to move this stagnant energy out of our energetic field so that we can really be the vital beings that we are meant to be full of energy, be happy, be vital, have, you know, be able to be present and focus and concentrate and sleep well and do all those things that are, you know, that is should be our normal state. I don't like to use should so much, but in that regard, it is sort of that way. And we have this amazing technology to be able to do this. McKay? Just have to unmute yourself.
So I haven't seen you ever smile so much, and this is a great I want to share this with other people because this is amazing that aren't in our group because this is fucking amazing. There I am swearing, but you're just like I haven't seen. You're being more like me.
Me? Are you talking about me?
Yeah, I love it. It's cool.
I'm really excited. I also had that crazy breakthrough last week. That really crazy experience that I had. But yes. I just feel, you know, I've been reverent about the Healy and I love it and I'm such a big fan of it. And I have even more reverence now, like working with this TimeWaver and working at this level and kind of like, because really what the TimeWaver does is it peels back the veil to see what's happening in Healy, right? The timer allows you to see what's happening in the background of Healy. We just don't get all that kind of science. And so this is why I feel even more excited about it now, right?
So the Healy is like an Apple, and the TimeWaver is like an Android.
No, the Healy's like an apple, and the TimeWaver is like the tree.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
right?
but I was
just like a bigger
to
version
somebody
of it
about
with
using
more
two
capacity.
different technologies, and they were saying that with the Android you can go back behind, and the Apple you just you get what you get.
Oh, I guess I get what you're saying. That analogy works as well. Yes, Apple doesn't want to tell you shit.
Apple and tree is good too.
Android's a little more transparent. And it's not to say
Everybody
that
started smiling with your passion. Look at this. I mean, when we first started, we were all like, and now everybody is energized. Yeah.
Because you are all super excited about quantum physics like I am now. So basically just some final thoughts in terms of like when using any of this technology, although we covered a lot of science here, I can't stress enough of intention. Right? When we are using the microcurrents and we are using the vibrations and we are doing this deeper energy work and we are clearing this stuff out of our energetic field and we're harmonizing and optimizing, our intention is so important. Everything in energy, you know, like the intention is really what makes all of this work for us. And so having a really clear, specific intention around this, you know, even when you're starting a Healy program, just like connecting with the program that you've chosen, right? Why did you pick that? And just like, even if you just say thank you, just practice some gratitude around that, right? Being mindful. We're not just like selecting a program and then hitting go. I mean, you can do that too, but just take a moment to set the intention of like what this beautiful technology that you have at your fingertips and why you're using it and how it's going to support you, right? You're directing that ship to where you want it to go. And then the second part of that is just really being open to receiving, right? The frequencies will work better if you have that intention and then you're open to receiving. Now, this is tricky with somebody like, I've worked with people that have had pain for decades. And so there's a whole, like, we have identities wrapped around these things that we've been carrying for decades, right? And so part of that starts to unravel, and you have to you have to create a new version of yourself when you're working with this stuff, right? And so part of that is, I would say, is like even just planting the seed that you're going to be more open to receiving. And then it just allows the frequencies to work at an even deeper level for you. So that's really what I have in terms of this talk. I do have some promos. I'm hanging my shingle now, you guys, for my TimeWaver sessions. So I do have some one-off sessions. Anybody that's already a All Things Frequency member, I have a special price for you guys. I am doing like monthly coaching. So if you have something specific that you want to work on, you want to clear trauma, you want to you want to harmonize something that's been happening in your body or bioenergetic field. This is kind of combining all of my tools that I have in my toolbox, which is, naturopathic medicine and vibrational medicine. We do like Healy coaching even on creating frequency protocols, because the TimeWaver doesn't replace the Healy, it just augments what you already have, right? So you have this Healy that has all of these amazing programs. And so based on what comes up in your analysis, you can really tailor which programs you're working with, on a day-by-day basis. And so we'll do that kind of stuff. It'll be lots of fun. And then I did create this program this week called Quantum Abundance. And so I have a special price for that if you guys want that. The best way is just send me a message if you want to book and work together or have the quantum experience. You guys just let me know. Okay.
Does the Quantum Abundance, do you then program it into our Healy so we
Yes.
read all the Okay.
Yes.
So yours is different than the one that Derek Nakamura did, or anyone else? I want yours.
Well, I've created it with really strong intentions and picked frequencies that support that intention. I've put my love and intention into it. And so if you want a write-up of what's in there, then I'm happy to share that in terms of the quantum abundance. And this is like, whether you want love or money or health, it's like, again, the intention of what you want to use it for is really what directs that. So
A TimeWaver.
Yeah, you want to manifest a TimeWaver. Yeah. Amy?
So my question would be, let's say you just received a Healy, you're not used to using the frequencies as often. Are your custom programs, are they going to work as quickly as it did for me, being someone that's had it since December and uses it religiously?
Yeah, in that case, I would get them to be running like gold cycle frequencies like daily. Right, because the gold cycle.
So you can't expect stuff's going to work for you instantly, right? Like it's still going to take
Why not?
time. I'm just asking.
It could, for sure. I mean, we're in the quantum here. Anything's possible, right? It really depends on the person and where they're at, right? And that's where the TimeWaver is. It's very specific and tailored to that person and based on their needs. Somebody that is in a state of illness, like their body is already depleted, right? And so you have to do some work. So it would probably be a little bit more gentle in terms of doing the vibrations, maybe not doing as many, like for you and I, when we did your analysis, like we looked through quite a bit, right? But maybe somebody, they only have the capacity to go, like look through 3 or 4. And so it really depends. I don't know that there is a yes or no answer in that sense. I think the frequencies work from day one, from the first second that you run it, really. So that's what I got. Did anybody learn anything new? Dixie?
Is there someday you're going to show us, like the guy from Hawaii, what yours looks like as far as the frequencies go?
Yes, I can do that. You get that experience during the session too. because when we custom create a program that's tailored for you, you can select the ones that you really want. The analysis will give you suggestions, and then you can also pick and choose which ones you want to. This one is just showing you more of the information field analysis, which is different than building the Healy programs.
Oh, okay.
Or my Healy programs. So on future talks, we'll do that. We'll create programs together. We'll dive deep into that. Today, I just kind of wanted to give an overview of really just quantum physics, giving you guys more background in terms of really understanding this incredible device that you have at your fingertips. So we'll do that, Dixie.
Okay.
Maybe not in an open forum like this where I've opened it to everybody, but definitely in our membership.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
I had mentioned it in, I don't know, I think Facebook or something, but is it possible to do the symbols, the Reiki symbols?
Oh, yeah.
It's yes, I'm going to go with a yes. It would require me, because actually with the TimeWaver, I can put things on the TimeWaver and capture the vibration of it, right? Similar to the Healy. So I'd probably have to do it that way.
Nice.
In the database here right now, there's no Reiki, Choku Ray, or any of those, but there's a way to put it in it. Like I've captured the essence of my medicines and I've put them in there, my remedies.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Patrice?
Yeah, I was wondering if we want to do this, which I'm sure we all do, I certainly do. Do we contact you personally directly, or through the membership, or?
Yeah, just send me are we connected on Facebook or by email?
Yeah, I haven't been using Facebook in a while. Ever since I got into the membership, that's kind of what I do. I don't really but I could go to the Facebook site.
Yeah, I can actually send out an email if you guys want me to send out an email, and then it just has the links in there. I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Let me read through. I didn't read any of the messages. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay.
I just want to say wow and thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for staying with me through all the science. That was
It was great.
fun. Yeah.
This is like when I first met you and got excited about the Healy. Now this is like
The next level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all going to have to manifest a shit ton of money. So let's get on it.
Quantum abundance. It's there.
Yeah.
There for you. It's presented. Right.
Yep.
Right on your Healy.
Yep.
Okay. Most folks just commenting. Awesome. Thank you. That's the best way to contact me. So you can send me a Facebook message. You can send me an email. I think Jackie.
Andrea, if we would like a program, so my dog, you remember a while ago I told you my dog had a lump. They have come back with a biopsy to say that she has got she's got cancer. So if I come to you with asking for help, I can send you the report. How long does it actually take for you to make the program? And is it all right to use it on the coil?
For your dog, yes.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
coil, for sure. Because animals and kids are so sensitive. You could use it without the coil, even the animals are so sensitive. And I would be doing vibrations right now too, right? But yes, it's you can send a picture, we can put all the information in, we can even do an analysis to understand what's happening at more of an emotional and energetic level, right? Our pets tend to take on a lot of our karma too, so.
Yeah, because it's coming up with soul. The every single time I run one, it's coming up as the soul cycle. So this is very karmic. And then yesterday when I ran something, it came up with family harmony because she's taking on a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
so you can tailor it to the specific part of the body. You can tailor it to the more of the emotional and energetic level. And you can custom create something for sure that's super supportive, and then use your other programs that you have in your Healy to, for additional support. And then of course, my expertise is oncology, so I can help you with more physical things to do, right?